This week I learned resistance is futile, and I will be assimilated. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as we have begun the month of September, guys. We are headed into the final stretch. Real fun week this week, and I can't wait to talk about it because, guys, it's going to be completely night and day difference with when I talked to you guys 1 week ago if you haven't been following the channel on the daily. Let's begin like always, guys. Let's begin with what am I reading? I did finish the ICE, that is the advanced reader copy I got of the new book Set Within the Bound and the Broken Universe by Ryan Cahill. Very good. For me, what I liked about this one is, without much spoilers here, I like that there's questions that you will have since the very first book of Blood and Fire. You'll have all kinds of questions about a certain event that kind of shapes the series. And you got to know, there's more to it than this. How did this happen? Why hasn't this happened before? And you get a lot of those answers. But the reason that you have to read these books in order like you are is because through the series and the novellas, he has introduced certain side characters, and those characters do show up in this novella. And it won't have the same weight if you read them in chronological timeline order. So there are certain characters that are in this that you'll be like, why should I feel like this is important? But, you know, it is if you've read all of the books up to that point. So it is very much 3.5 in the series of when you should read it. But very good. Again, Ryan, what he's doing special with this series, I think, is that a lot of authors will put out these novellas, and you can skip them, and it's fine. These add so much layers to stuff. And like I said, if you didn't read The Exile, that was in between books 2 and 3, there's a character reunion in book 3 that would not have the same weight to you if you did not read that. So I think it's amazing that he's doing these things that you feel like you need to read. But here's the thing, guys. The series is so good you're going to want to read them. It's never a thing where you feel like it's a chore or anything like some novellas can be. But I just continue to be impressed what he's able to do with this series, and either, you know, where it's like a War and Ruin, where there's, you know, 1,200 pages and you're entertained the whole way through, or this where it was 173 pages and you felt like you got a full story out of it. So, guy's just very talented. I feel like at this point, I can't really say much else about his books, except I feel bad for the people who won't give them a try because they're just that good, guys. I mean, this series is on a collision course for my top 10 fantasy series next year, without a doubt, and it's only 3 books in and 3 novellas in, but they're all good, guys. I think you should definitely pick them up in the ICE. That comes out here, I think, on the 23rd. I'm going to get it done because I believe Ryan does want to use a blurb from me for the book, and that's always very exciting. You never get tired of that, I think, as a reviewer, seeing your name on the back of someone else's book. So very, very exciting, and I hope you guys will pick it up. And if you haven't picked up the series yet, what are you waiting for? Do so. I'm still working on The Passage. I think I told you guys I had started it last week. There is a thing about it, I'm about halfway point now, where I loved the first act in the book, the first third, I guess you'd say. Really, really great stuff. Excellent character development, tight pacing. I felt like the story was really, really gripping. And then there's a big, big shift in the storyline in the second act. And that's been a little tougher for me. And I could feel like I did a short earlier this week about why I thought that I could see why this is a divisive book now. There are things in it where you're like, that's a bold choice. And it's one of those things where I bet his editor probably fought him on this choice because he really does do almost like a whole cast rollover in this book. And it's at the, you know, about the 1/3 mark in the book. So I'm having a hard time kind of connecting with the new characters in this second act. And it isn't because his character development is bad. I think he's very, very good at developing his characters. He's giving everybody background. He's giving you a little context of why they are the way they are, giving little flashbacks to them and stuff. I think he does that very well. I'm just not really caring too much about those new characters like I were with the characters at the beginning. So that's been a little bit of a struggle in the second half. And that's why my pace has kind of slowed down a little bit in the second half. Now, I'm not enjoying the book, don't get me wrong, but I do think it is very, very tough, and I can see why a lot of people will quit this book, because you feel like you bought in to this first part of the book and then it's completely different. It really does feel like 2 different books, and that can be quite jarring to people. So I want to keep going because everyone assures me that if you push through this bit, the payoff's going to be very much worth it. And at this point, I feel like I bought into the universe enough to just say I'm going to trust the process and see where he's going. But I do feel like I almost kind of like need a little bit of a break right now because I'm struggling with some parts, and this is usually when I will filter in something of a different genre to kind of take the weight off a little bit. And I might do that a little bit, and I kind of did that, guys. I feel like it's going to be really, really weird to hear me say this if you haven't been following me on the socials or the channel at all. I did read the first 4 volumes of One Piece. Now, I know that this is kind of funny because I know for the longest time I said, here's the whole story of this, is I was told by people that I trust that I was getting interested in manga, and all of them told me One Piece is not anything that you're going to like. So I took their advice, and I said, okay, that's probably not something I'm going to like. And all I said in that video was that the feedback I had gotten is One Piece wasn't going to be something, and people went crazy on me. And I felt like I had a bad experience with that fandom, so I was like, okay, forget it. You know what? If you're being rude, why would I give the series a chance? Well, apparently I misjudged them. They're very passionate, don't get me wrong, but apparently they were very compassionate because they did send me the first 23 volumes of One Piece. And the reason I decided to go ahead and do it, guys, is it was a perfect storm. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we found the secret formula. Just send him a book and he'll read it now. The secret formula, guys, was my kid wanted to watch the Netflix adaptation, and I had already planned to do that, so I said, why not? The Netflix adaptation covers the first 12 volumes of this, and guys, it doesn't take long to read one. I read the first volume in like one sitting, and people are like, wow, I wish I could read as fast as you guys. Manga volumes, they really don't take very long to read. Yeah, so it was just a perfect storm, I think, and I have actually quite enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. I won't pretend that I'm wild about the animation style, and that isn't like saying that Mr. Oda, like his talent is bad. No, I think he's a very, very talented artist. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like the goofy animations like this. Can you see that? Yeah, the goofy animations like that. That's the kind of stuff that's kept me away from anime and manga for years. So that's like a me thing. However, I'm having a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So if I'm having that much fun, sure, I will keep reading it. The animation aside, I can get over it. I'm having a good time with it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've had a lot of people ask me, are you reading it with your kid? No, he can't get behind how it goes, right to left. He just can't. He can't. He said he spent too long reading American comics. He just can't do that now. But he did. He has played the game on his tablet. He has watched some of the anime. And now he's watching the Netflix series, which I'll talk about when I get TV and movie talk. And it's been very, very wild. So I will say that, One Piece fans are very, very dedicated. I made a reel about this, and it's got like 50,000 views. So people are excited. So I'll give the One Piece fandom credit. I might have misjudged the product there just because of the way that some, every fandom has shitholes, like I said, and some people were really, really nasty on that top 10 manga video, or not top 10, but the manga I want to read video I did. God, year and a half, 2 years ago now. It was a bad first experience with a fandom. And this is obviously the good side of it, because I've had nothing but great feedback on this, and they haven't been rushing me or anything. It's been a lot of fun, whereas the Berserk fans were like, read Berserk, drop everything you're doing, read Berserk now. I felt like with this, I don't want the Berserk fandom coming after me. You guys know I love Berserk, but I'm saying they were very impatient. One Piece fans were like, yeah, it's like 1,000 chapters. We understand you can't binge read that. So it's been wild. It's been a fun experience, and I guess I'll keep you guys posted on it as I go. How about what am I going to read, guys? Obviously, I want to try to finish working on the passage, and I'm going to do, I guess, volume 5 of One Piece. Keep going with that. Here's the thing is the Netflix show is adapting the first 12 volumes, so I'd like to get through the first 12 volumes. That's my goal right now. Again, it doesn't take very long to read these, but it just kind of depends on how other things are going. Obviously, written word is always going to be the priority for me on this channel, always. But I'm having a good time with that and being able to talk to my kid about it. Obviously, that is influencing me just a little bit. I said I might need to change gears a little bit while I'm struggling through these parts of the passage. And that's why I think I'm going to pick up my first book of September, guys, which is going to be Flowers for Algernon. I figure that's a nice, short, change of pace kind of book. I feel like that can help me knock off the rust a little bit while I'm struggling through those bits of the passage. And Flowers for Algernon, obviously, was on my popular sci-fi books that I want to read, so that's why I wanted to get it on here rather early. And yeah, I'm excited about it because this is one that it's been, almost ever since high school I've heard about this one. I'm very, very curious to know why it makes everyone cry. But I don't know. Anytime you have, I don't even know if it's necessarily like an animal companion, because I know it is just like a lab rat, but I know that everybody can very easily fall in love with an animal companion kind of thing in a book. So I don't know if it's about that or if it's about Charlie. No idea. No idea. I don't know a ton about Flowers for Algernon outside of it is about, messing around with the brain, making people smarter, and it's about a mouse. That's all I really know about it, and that apparently it makes people cry a lot. And a lot of people told me they read it in junior high or high school or something like that. This one was never, ever offered to me in either of those settings. So I feel like that's why I missed it. But I'm happy to kind of get this one off the list and get that popular sci-fi video, get some of those titles I talked about, getting rolling here pretty quick. But that's pretty much what I plan to read this week. How about this week on the channel, guys? I did my surprise review. I was actually stunned, guys, that when I talked about this last week, not a single person asked me, what is it? What is a surprise review? Not a single person. I was actually kind of amazed. So maybe you guys did want to be surprised. And I don't feel like it was like a mega surprise or anything. It's just no one ever really expected me to talk about it. And that was doing a standard, fair, up and down review of Name of the Wind. Now, I had talked about Name of the Wind back in 2020 when this channel was still in its fledgling state, and that was kind of an off-the-cuff thing, which was just the first of my unpopular opinion videos, which I haven't done a ton of. Yeah, I wanted to give it the full review because I feel like everyone just kind of applies this label to, oh, Mike hates that book. And let me talk about what turned me off on that book. But let me tell you about what I thought was really done great in that book. And for all the people who are like, oh man, I can't believe I'm watching this video knowing you're going to hurt me, is like, I talked just as long about the things I loved about that book as I did the things I did not love about that book. So, as always, I try to present criticism in a way that I think is fair and say that it didn't work for me. It might work for you. I don't want you taking my word as gospel. I want you to read this and make up your own mind. Because I do know in that video back in 2020, I have a ton of people being like, oh, thank you for saving me these hours of my life. I'm not going to read it now. That was never my goal with that video. My goal was to say, look, I don't understand it. I got everybody telling me, oh, you just didn't understand it. I will tell you flat out, no, I didn't get it. I don't get why it's so popular. So I explained all that in detail in that video, and I knew that since people were going to be upset because I was trashing maybe one of their favorite books of all time, I did want to do a nice reading intro for that one. I was actually rather proud of that one. I thought it was very good. In fact, I thought that intro was so nice it made me want to read it again. So I don't know. Sometimes you're proud of your work, sometimes you're not. And I was quite proud of that reading excerpt there. But I think I was very fair. And the feedback I've gotten is pretty positive. I've only had a few people. I mean, there's been some that have been like, oh, you're only reading on the surface level. You're not diving deep enough, or you didn't know. I mean, you're always going to get that no matter any review that you're not overly positive about. You're always going to get someone who says you didn't get it. I get that. But there are a lot of people, I feel like they've kind of turned on Patrick Rothfuss at this point, because he's not very likable. And he's done some things the past few years that have really turned some people off. So I feel like maybe their tone has changed a little bit. But I feel like most people understand why I'm saying it didn't work for me, and that's always my goal with a review here, is to let you guys know these are things I like, these are things I didn't like. It's quite okay if you disagree, and I don't want to influence your decision one way or the other. I just want to present these things I didn't like, and I hope that came across. I talked about that most popular sci-fi books that I wanted to read. Well, I just had to make the counterpart for it, guys, which was most popular fantasy books that I want to read. Now, always the goal with that, guys, like I said, is these are books everyone's heard of. These are very, very popular books. It's more of those books people are kind of surprised to hear that I haven't read yet. So with fantasy, obviously, it was tough. I've actually already thought of some, like I left off Elric. I left off Zelazny. Chronicles of Amber. I always get his name wrong. I always say it the wrong way every single time. But anytime you're making a list like that, it's inevitable you're going to leave some stuff off because no one person can read everything, as much as I would like to do that. But with that, it was just, these are some that I'm really, really excited to finally get to. And I think Discworld fans are probably the most happy in the comments, even though I think someone put it well. They say, I'm happy now that you're moving the Discworld fans on from they're upset that you won't read it to now they're upset that you're reading it in the wrong order. So that should be a fun fandom to eventually engage with. But I can't wait to do it. Those aren't like announcements. I'm starting these or anything like that. Those are just ones that are going to be making their way onto my TBR sooner rather than later kind of get those off of my bucket list. I did talk about some shorts. I did do a couple of shorts. I've started a segment just called Coffee Shorts. Basically, if I'm making coffee and I think I've got something I can talk to you guys about for a minute, sure, I'll go ahead and turn the camera on and see what happens. And I wanted to talk about how someone had sent me those One Piece, that box set. So I want to really just thank that person, because it is a mystery viewer. I have no idea who sent that box set to me. But that's just kind of where it came from. And people just went crazy for the fact that I was talking to them while I was making coffee. So I decided I'm just going to make like a segment of, if I do a short, that's where it's going to be. It's going to be in that setting while I'm making coffee or hanging out in my kitchen doing something like that. I don't know. But shorts are something on the channel I've experimented with off and on. You know, it's not anything you really do for anything outside of, hey, I don't have a full video to make, but I can talk about this for a minute. And so that's kind of what I'll do. So I appreciate that people are enjoying it. They're enjoying that setting. I get coffee, you know, multiple times per day, so that presents plenty of opportunities to do videos like that. But I also was a guest over on Jack and the Book Stack, in case you guys want to see that. She had lots of fun questions. I thought it was a fun conversation. We talked for over an hour over there. She has a delightful channel. Hope you guys will check it out. And I want to thank her for asking me to come on the channel. It was a ton of fun for me. I know it's cliche that I always say this, but I do enjoy being a guest on other people's channel because I don't have to edit anything, and that is the best. How about some next week plans, guys? We got a couple of things planned. Obviously, we're going to wrap up August and announce my book of the month. I always say with book of the month, guys, if you watch the channel on the daily, you're probably not hard to figure some of these things out. That's something I do stress, is that people understand I don't count rereads anytime I'm picking my book of the month. So if you think you've got it figured out, you might not. But again, with this month, I feel like you're probably going to know what it is based off of some of my feedback on it on previous weekly updates. Also going to be doing a book haul where I'll talk about that box set that I got sent, as well as some many other things that were sent to me this month. Quite a heavy month. I got a big old stack down there I've got to talk about, and I cannot wait to do it because I love to tell you guys thank you for everything that you send me. The thought is amazing, and it never ever gets old. I do appreciate you guys. I've had a lot of people asking about my Kindle Scribe review. The reason that's taking so long, guys, is because it's going to have to be very unconventional for the method that I usually use, because I feel like I'm going to have to display some things. So I'm going to have to break just my single camera, you know, my lock camera angle, and just talking about something. I'm going to have to show you guys some things. So I'm going to have to actually like record some stuff outside of my comfort space. And that's very, very hard for me to decide to finally do, because I don't know. It's just foreign to me. I have a method that I like to use. I like to keep it simple. And I feel like I'm going to have to do some different things with that video to talk about it. So I'm not saying it's going to be this week, but I'm hoping that it can be this week, because I know a lot of people are rather anxious to know what I think about the Kindle Scribe. All I'll say is, you guys see me holding up this one when I talk about reading off my Kindle. I think there might be a reason for that. But guys, that's all I have for the books. There are a couple of TV and movie talk things. Before I go, obviously, One Piece on Netflix, I'll say real fast, is I think that no matter how you feel about, well, you're not interested in manga, you're not interested, I get it. I was like that for a long time, guys. I get it. So what I'm going to say about this is a huge step in the right direction for faithful adaptation. I made that video recently about why can't they get fantasy adaptations right. This show is doing almost none of those. They've got the author involved. They are very, very faithful to the source material. They're listening to feedback, and they want to do right by the fans. I mean, they want to make a faithful adaptation, and it shows. There are scenes in the show. I've only watched the first 2 episodes because, you know, I am reading these very slowly as I go along, but I'm trying to stay ahead of where I'm pretty sure this weekend my kid's going to want to wipe all 8 episodes out, so I got to get to reading. But there are scenes that are ripped straight from the page. I mean, like, shot for shot. It's beautiful. And I just gotta say, it's really, really hard to nail that tone when you're trying to make something live action, but it's still kind of like a live action cartoon, you know, because obviously the main character is, you know, the rubber band man. It's really, really hard to kind of to land that and it not just turn into like the 1990 Super Mario Brothers movie where it just gets ridiculous. I think they found a pretty good balance. And what I'll say about it, the casting's great. All the casting has been just spot on. And I say that as someone who's been reading One Piece for 5 minutes. I understand that. So I don't know how the fandom as a whole feels about it, but I don't see how outside of seriously nitpicking, like there's a scene in the first episode with the rice balls. Yeah, it didn't happen in a bar. It happened in the prison yard. Things like that. It's like, that's like when it comes to adaptation, I don't care. That's fine. That's not a big deal. You're keeping the story the same. You're keeping the characters the same. And I feel like this feels like these characters ripped straight from the page. The castings are all great. And what I love about it is like these actors are going for it. The guy that plays Buggy the clown, dude, he just went for it. He was great. So yeah, I'm having a great time with it. My kids really enjoying it. And I mean, even my wife, who thinks this stuff is ridiculous, even she watched some of the second episode, and she's like, "It's out there, but it's got a lot of heart. I can appreciate like the part with Shanks in his hat. She was actually, that's really nice." So yeah, it's been a wild week for me, guys, with dipping into the One Piece fandom, and perfect timing. It's just perfect timing. What can I say? So we'll finish that up this weekend. But I can say already, guys, this is the best live action anime adaptation I've ever seen. And it's just one of those things that just makes my heart hurt because I think of how well Netflix could have done Lock and Key now, instead of turning it into a CW teen drama. It just breaks my heart a little bit. But it's like that with all adaptation. Like, I won't be talking about Wheel of Time Season 2 on here, but, I've already heard things. I've been like, yeah, glad I stopped watching. But again, this is a step in the right direction for doing fantasy adaptation correctly. I mean, I think that there are any adaptation, not just fantasy. But I'm excited about it. I'm very, very happy with it, and I hope that the One Piece fandom is too, because I can't imagine it have going better than it has so far. So Netflix, when you actually try, you can do something right. I'm very, very proud of you. My wife and I are watching American Horror Story. Apocalypse, every once in a while, we'll just bust out an American Horror Story season. Last one we did a couple years ago was 1984, and we both really, really liked that. American Horror Story is hit or miss with everybody. Like when people rank these seasons, it's like someone's favorite season will be the next person's least favorite season, and vice versa. Apocalypse. The thing with American Horror Story for us has been, we'll love the setup. The premise is great. And like the first 4 or 5 episodes, we're all in. Around 6 or 7 things get shoddy. And then like the last third is like, why did they add like a 4th or 5th storyline here that they didn't need? Well, that's where we're at. We're 6 episodes out of 10 in. We're both really, really liking it. And we're just waiting for that moment for the other shoe to drop, where American Horror Story's writing team usually tries to get a little ambitious and goes for something, and it either lands or does not land. It worked with 84, and I'm hoping that it lands here with Apocalypse. I know we're watching these all out of order. We didn't watch Hotel. We didn't watch Roanoke. I think that I tapped out in Freak Show. But American Horror Story, I mean, it's amazing the talent that they get on that show. It's just sometimes it's like the writers, it's just like they almost need to be checked a little bit. But the acting talent they get on these shows is just amazing. The cast that they're able to put together for a little horror show on FX. It's amazing. It's amazing. It really, really is. But we're having fun with Apocalypse, and in the end, I'm happy that they're finally tying some of these other seasons together. There's people from Coven on here, there's characters from Murder House on here, there's characters from Asylum on here. It's been really nice having some of these connections when it has just been an anthology storyline every time. So when you got someone like Sarah Paulson playing like 3 different characters, it is kind of jarring that the other characters won't be like, hey, you look just like that person. But kind of the charm is the fact that they don't call that out. So a lot of fun. I mean, American Horror Story, people have wild opinions about it. We enjoy it more than we don't enjoy it. But, again, we are at that point where things usually go to crazy town, and I'm hoping that it does land. Gaming talk real quick before I go, guys. The Starfield reviews are out. Very, very positive. I think this is what I think that you can expect from the reviewers I've tried. What I'm getting is it game of the generation? Probably not. Is it a really great game? Yeah. If you haven't been a fan of Bethesda games so far, is it going to be the one that turns you? Probably not. I mean, they sold it to Skyrim in space, and that looks like that's what it is. For me, this looks like the game I wanted No Man's Sky to be when it launched. I know No Man's Sky is a very different game now, but this is what I wanted No Man's Sky to be when it came out. And I'm excited about it, guys. We got my kids and my wife got together, and they did get me a Series X for my birthday, basically so they could play Starfield. So, it's like when Homer gave Marge the bowling ball that said Homer on it. That's what it kind of felt like. But hey, I'll take it because we do have Game Pass. And I've said so many times, guys, Game Pass is the best value in gaming, especially when you get day one releases of games like Starfield. So I'm very, very excited. I mean, obviously, in the end, reviews don't matter. It did seem like a lot of people had like a hate boner for this game. They just wanted it to fail for whatever reason, but it doesn't sound like it's going to. So I feel like if you wanted the game to fail and you want to hate it, you're going to hate it regardless. If you've hated all Bethesda games, I don't see why this would change your opinion. But if you're like me and you've been waiting forever for Elder Scrolls 6, you're anxious to see why they delayed that game for so long to work on this one. So I'm hoping it's more Fallout 3 than it was Fallout 4. That's what I'm hoping for. And that I loved Fallout 3. I loved Skyrim. Not so much Fallout 4. So we'll see. I feel like this is a pivotal moment for not only Xbox, but for Bethesda, because I felt like they lost a lot of fans during that Fallout 76 era. So let's see if they can get them back. But I know there are more people in the last 24 hours that said they would never buy a Series X that are now kind of interested because they want to play this game. So it's going to be the talk of the gaming world here for a little bit, and I will be playing that release day on Wednesday. I can't wait. I'll be playing Baldur's Gate until then, but the day that Starfield comes out, everything else is getting dropped, and I can't wait to do it. So guys, that was my week. What is your week looking like? I would love to know. I'd like you to drop down in the comments, guys. Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing, and have yourselves an awesome, awesome weekend.